From a public school music teacher having an illicit relationship with another female student to another teacher who actually had her student's baby. These beautiful teachers became irresistible to their students in the classroom. Today, we're taking a look at the top 11 teachers who had illicit relationships with their students. Number 10, Stephanie Peterson. Stephanie Peterson, also known as Stephanie Ferry, was a 26-year-old science teacher at the new Smyrna Beach Middle School in Florida. Peterson began a relationship with an 8th grade student at the school in November 2017 and was accused of sending the student photographs via social media platforms like Snapchat and Instagram. She would pick the student up from his home late at night, usually around 11 p.m, while her husband was at work, and then return him early in the morning so that nobody would notice. Peterson was arrested by the Volusia County Sheriff's Office in February 2018 after the relationship came to light when the boy's grades began to suffer, and he eventually disclosed the situation to his parents. The boy reported that Peterson would provide him with various smoking paraphernalia while at her home, and it was later revealed in court that Peterson was in the midst of a manic state during the relationship. Peterson resigned from her position shortly before her arrest and was initially charged with 2 counts of lewd or lascivious battery and 1 count of transmission of harmful materials to a minor. In December 2018, Peterson entered a plea agreement and was sentenced by Circuit Judge Raul Zambrano to 36 months in state prison, 2 years of house arrest following her release, 5 years of probation, and permanent registration as a sex offender. During the sentencing, Peterson expressed regret for her actions, while the victim's mother testified about the significant emotional and social toll the incident had taken on her son. Number 9, Rebecca Joynes. Rebecca Joynes was a well-liked mathematics teacher from Salford, Greater Manchester, UK, at a secondary school in the city. Grooming 2 pupils from the age of 15, the first boy was asked to guess the digits of her phone number in October 2001, before later inviting him back to her flat and taking him on a shopping trip to the Trafford Centre. She was caught thanks mainly in part to the CCTV, and while on police bail for her actions involving the first student, Joynes began a relationship with a second pupil. This relationship continued after she was suspended from her teaching post and resulted in her becoming pregnant. She gave birth to the boy's child in early 2024. On July 4, 2024, Joynes was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. In addition to her custodial sentence, the court ruled she must have lifetime registration as a sex offender. A 10-year sexual harm prevention order was also imposed at the sentencing hearing, while a restraining order that prohibits contacts with both victims was also imposed. During sentencing, Judge Kate Cornell described Joynes' actions as having a breathtaking arrogance, emphasising that she had abused a significant position of trust and ignored police bail conditions to continue her predatory behaviour. Victim impact statements read in court highlighted the massive mental toll the abuse took on the boys and their families, one victim describing being coerced, controlled and manipulated, noting that the experience had torn his family apart. A Teaching Regulation Agency professional conduct panel met in late 2025 and decided to impose an indefinite prohibition order, permanently banning Joynes from teaching in any school, college or children's home in England. Number 8, Helen Goddard. Nicknamed the Jazz Lady, public school music teacher Helen Goddard would often take one of her students for coffee after music lessons. But there was far more going on behind the scenes of these friendly teacher-student meetups. Goddard had entered into a lesbian affair with the 15-year-old pupil, and soon the student was spending time at the teacher's flat, sometimes for up to 48 hours on weekends. Goddard, who played at the opening ceremony of the Sydney Olympics in the year 2000, told the girl she loved her and even took her on a trip to Paris to discuss personal issues and attend a gay pride march. The teenager would tell her parents she was going to stay over at friends' houses when she was spending nights with Goddard, who told her housemates that the girl was a student. The affair was discovered after rumours spread through the school and an anonymous email was sent from a concerned parent, which led to police investigations and Goddard's subsequent arrest. When officers raided Goddard's home in Greenwich, they found the teenager with a 26-year-old and seized various items that included a pair of fluffy handcuffs and messages on the student's phone. At Southwark Crown Court, Goddard admitted 6 sample counts of sexual activity with the girl between February and July 2012 and was suspended from her post at the London school and made to sign on to the Sexual Offenders Register for 10 years. Number 7. McKenna Kindred. Working at the Central Valley High School in Spokane Valley, Washington, McKenna Kindred began a relationship with a 17-year-old student. The relationship began in June 2022 after the student reached out to Kindred on social media and the two exchanged explicit messages and photos via Instagram. In November 2022, the student visited Kindred's home while her husband was away, where the illustrious relationship further developed. The student would brag to his friends about the relationship, and rumours soon began to circulate, with the matter soon brought to the school's attention in December 2022, after other students reported the inappropriate interactions. Kindred resigned from the Central Valley School District in April 2023, following the allegations, and was arrested and charged with various offences. In March 2024, she pleaded guilty to 2 gross misdemeanours, including second-degree sexual misconduct with a minor and communication with a minor for immoral purposes. She was sentenced to 2 years of probation and ordered to pay $700 in fines, but received no jail time, a recommendation supported by both the prosecution and the defence. Number 6. Haley Clifton Carmarmac. In the quiet town of Lacquey, Missouri, the local high school became the centre of a disturbing criminal investigation in 2023. Haley Nichelle Clifton Carmarmac, a 26-year-old math teacher and mother of 2, stood at the heart of a scandal that would involve allegations of grooming, classroom lookouts, and a flight from justice. The case broke wide open on December 7, 2023, when a student approached the school's resource officer with a troubling report. According to court documents, the witness claimed that a 16-year-old male student was involved in a relationship with Clifton Carmarmac. The witness reported seeing photographs of scratch marks on the victim's back, which the boy claimed were caused by the teacher during a sexual encounter in the driveway. Perhaps more shocking were the allegations that Clifton Carmarmac had used other students as lookouts during school hours to ensure she and the victim could engage in activity undetected on campus. When initially confronted by detectives on December 8th, Clifton Carmarmac denied the affair and handed over her phone. However, after police obtained a warrant on December 22nd, they recovered text messages that explicitly detailed the illegal relationship. In September 2024, Clifton Carmarmac reached a plea deal after being charged with child endangerment and pled guilty to sexual contact with a student, a move that voided more severe charges of statutory rape and child molestation. She was sentenced to 4 years in prison. However, as part of her plea agreement, she could be eligible for early release after just 120 days if she successfully completes a sex offender rehabilitation program. Number 5. Britney Zamora. The case of Britney Zamora, a former elementary school teacher at Las Brisas Elementary School in Goodyear, Arizona, shocked the local community and made headlines across the country. What began as a career in education ended in a landmark criminal conviction uncovering a disturbing breach of professional boundaries and public trust. The case came to light in 2018 when officials became aware of inappropriate inappropriate interactions between Zamora and a 13-year-old student. The investigation quickly revealed a systematic pattern of abuse, with evidence indicating that the relationship had been ongoing for months. In December 2018, Zamora was arrested and charged with multiple felony counts. Zamora pled guilty to all 4 counts and was sentenced to 20 years in prison, followed by lifetime probation, and is currently serving her sentence at the Arizona State Prison Complex Perryville in Goodyear, Arizona. She is said to have taken up teaching within the prison and helped a number of other inmates. However, there is no chance of early release in her case. Number 4. Deborah Lefave. Beginning at Angelo L. Greco Middle School, 23-year-old reading teacher Deborah Lefave crossed a line that would forever change her life and the life of a 14-year-old student. The relationship between Lefave and her student reportedly began to escalate following a class trip to SeaWorld, and over the summer of 2004, authorities discovered that Lefave had engaged in encounters with the teenager on 4 separate occasions. The case broke wide open when a relative of the boy spotted him in a parking lot with Lefave, who had been taking him to her portable classroom, her townhouse, and drove him around in her vehicle. Police eventually coordinated a sting operation, having the student arrange a meeting at his home. When Lefave arrived, she was surrounded by officers and taken into custody. The case quickly became a media sensation, fueled largely by a controversial defence strategy that Lefave's attorney, John Fitzgibbons, argued that his client was too pretty for prison. He claimed that sending a woman of her appearance to a state penitentiary would be like putting a piece of raw meat in with the lions, and the defence also claimed Lefave suffered from bipolar disorder, which they argued contributed to her lack of judgment. In 2005, Lefave pled guilty to 2 counts of lewd and lascivious battery, and the victim's mother reportedly supported the plea deal to spare her son the trauma of testifying in a public trial. The resulting sentence sparked intense debate over double legal standards, with 3 years of house arrest, 7 years of probation, lifetime registration as a sexual predator, and the loss of her teaching certificate. Number 3. Carrie Mandalas. A 29-year-old social studies teacher and cheerleading coach, Carrie Mandalas was the wife of the school's principal and a popular, well-known teacher at her school. What no one knew, however, was that Mandalas had provided alcohol to a 17-year-old male student, Tommy Clay, during a school-sponsored camping trip to the YMCA Estes Park Centre in late October 2006. Mandalas and the student had exchanged 76 text messages during their relationship, which broke wide open after an investigation in 2007. When the news broke, the school board moved to terminate her contract, and her husband eventually resigned from his position as principal. In June 2007, Mandalas reached a plea deal agreement to avoid more serious felony charges, and she pleaded guilty to a slew of charges, including contributing to the delinquency of a minor and tampering with physical evidence. Mandalas was ordered to serve 45 days in county jail and 5 years of intensive supervised probation. She was also required to register as a sex offender for life. In 2011, Mandalas's probation was revoked after she reportedly tested positive for morphine while living in Georgia, and was sentenced to an additional 60 days in jail and to serve the remainder of her term. Number 2. Haley Way. A case that rocked the prestigious Westlake High School in Austin, Texas. Haley Noel Way, a 28-year-old math teacher, had personal connections with her students that extended far beyond the classroom. Spanning across continents and into the digital shadows of social media, school administrators began receiving reports of inappropriate electronic and social media communications in October 2015. During the summer of 2015, Way had accompanied a family of a 17-year-old student on a trip to Africa, where a relationship, which had been ongoing for some time, became personal and on a deeper level during the trip. Upon returning to Texas, the student alleged the relationship had become physical, often in Way's home or her vehicle or even at a local park, and the student bragged to fellow students about the meetings. The relationship suddenly ended, mainly due to a rumour that Way was hooking up with another 17-year-old boy at the same school, a relationship that began in September 2015. This second student was invited to Commons Ford Park for a hike. However, a third student discovered the messages on the second student's phone and alerted authorities. In February 2017, Haley Way pled guilty to 2 counts of improper relationships between an educator and a student, and due to Texas law stating that student-teacher relationships are illegal regardless of age and consent, she was sentenced to 10 years of deferred adjudication probation. Remarkably, Way was not required to register as a sex offender. However, she was served 200 hours of community service and voluntarily surrendered her teaching certification. Number 1. Candice Barber. A 35-year-old teaching assistant and cover supervisor, Candice Barber gave professional mentorship lessons in the community of Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire, United Kingdom. She struck up an unhealthy relationship with a 15-year-old male student, soon sending him photographs on her phone and at least one video on Snapchat. As the relationship progressed, the physical boundaries collapsed. Barber was accused of having sexual encounters with the boy, both in her car and in a secluded field. The emotional impact on the victim was severe, with court records showing the student had become increasingly withdrawn, eventually confining himself to his room. The prosecution noted that Barber had used manipulative tactics to ensure his silence, including making threats to the child to prevent him from disclosing the nature of their relationship to anyone else. Barber went through multiple trials, with the first jury finding her guilty of 2 counts related to the sending of explicit Snapchat photos and video, but unable to reach a verdict on the more serious charges. In her second trial during 2021, Barber was convicted of causing or inciting a child to engage in sexual activity and engaging in sexual communication with a child, and sentenced to 6 years and 2 months in prison. The fallout continued long after her criminal sentencing, with the Teaching Regulation Agency issuing a prohibition order banning her from teaching in any school, sixth form college or children's home in England indefinitely. Thanks for watching. On the right we have a video on the top 50 most dangerous female criminals in the world, or on the left you can explore the 25 most dangerous prisons in Africa. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.